Okay, this is problem 4.8, and I'm going to solve it in two different ways. And the first way that I'm going to solve it is by the idea of rewriting. And when we use the strategy of rewriting, we don't have to use strictly that strategy, but I'm going to use at least parts of it here. When we use this strategy, what we're thinking about that idea of PEMDAS, right? That we want to solve things using the order of operations or rewrite things using the order of operations. And so in this problem A, we have a lot of things happening here. If we look at it, we're multiplying the 2, we're subtracting the 1 in the parentheses, we're squaring the x minus 1, we're adding the 7. There's all kinds of things happening. And so what we need to think about is the PEMDAS. So we look at parentheses first. We can't do anything with x minus 1. We can't simplify that at all. Then we look at the exponents. X minus 1 is being squared. And so that is the first thing that we need to do when we're solving this problem. X minus 1 being squared looks like this. And so if we rewrite the problem, we have 2 times x minus 1 and the quantity x minus 1 again, plus 7 equals 39. And then from this step, we could approach this two different ways. Basically, we have 3 things to multiply, the 2, the x minus 1, and the x minus 1. You can pick any order when it comes to multiplying, and you'll come up with the right answer. What I'm going to do, just for the sake of trying to be consistent in what we've talked about in class, is I'm going to multiply these parentheses first using an area model. But you absolutely could take 2 times x minus 1 and get 2x minus 2, and then multiply all of that times x minus 1. In this case, I'm just going to multiply these. So I have x squared minus 1x, and negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. So now I have this 2 times whatever was in my area model, which is x squared minus 2x plus 1 plus 7 equals 39. And then I can multiply the 2 times all of that. So 2 x squared minus 4x plus 2 plus 7 equals 39. And now that I can rewrite one more time. So I have 2x squared minus 4x plus 9 equals 39. Now that I've rewritten it as much as I can in a format that makes it as easy for solving as possible, I need to think about the fact that this is a quadratic. And so in order to solve it, I want to get the whole quadratic set equal to 0. So then I'm going to do some undoing to do that, and I'm going to subtract 39 from both sides. So I end up with 2x squared minus 4x minus 30 equals 0. And then you can choose to use either factoring or the quadratic formula to solve this. And if you recognize it, that 2 can actually be factored out. But I'm just going to leave it in there because I think not a ton of people will recognize that right away. So let's go ahead and factor this just because some of you may appreciate seeing how to do it. The first and last terms go in the opposite corners. They get multiplied together to be negative 60x squared, and the middle term goes in the bottom. Then we need to think about what multiplies to 60 and adds to negative 4. Oh, goodness. So 6 and 10. So negative 10x, positive 6x. I can put the 2 in either place here. I'm just going to put it there. And I get these factors of 2x plus 6 and x minus 5 equals 0. And when I set them equal to 0, I get x equals, this is going to become negative 6 divided by 2, so negative 3. And the other one is going to become x equals 5. So that's one method, is solving by rewriting. You could have approached this in a totally different manner. Undoing. And if you're undoing something, you're basically taking that idea of PEMDAS and you're doing it in the complete opposite order. So you're actually looking at the operations in reverse. So if I'm trying to undo this equation to solve it, I see that I have, again, all those different operations, but I'm going to start with the adding and subtracting. I can't do anything inside the parentheses with the subtracting because it won't simplify, but I can do something with the plus 7. So I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. So then I have 2 times this quantity squared equals 32. So I looked at adding and subtracting. The next thing I'm going to look at is multiplying and dividing, and I see I have 2 times the x minus 1 squared. So if I'm going to undo the multiplying and dividing, I'm going to divide by 2 on both sides. So that would leave me with x minus 1 squared equals 32 divided by 2 is 16. And then I'm looking at the next thing. I have an exponent there. It's squared. The undo of squaring is square root. So if I take the square root of both sides, the square root and the square cancel out, so I'm left with what was inside the parentheses. And the square root of 16, because I was squaring something to get 16, I know that the square root of 16 can be plus or minus 4, because I don't know if I was squaring positive 4 or if I was squaring negative 4 to get 16. So I have 2 possible answers. So then I write my 2 expressions, x minus 1 equals 4 and x minus 1 equals negative 4. And I solve those, which means x equals 5 and x equals negative 3. You'll see we have the same answers from both, 2 different strategies. As long as you're making legal moves and you're doing things in the legal order, then either one will work.